Assalamu alaikum madada na makaka, wazee kwa vijana.
Today, we are talking about the 1982 failed coup d'etat in Kenya. This was an attempt to overthrow Moi's government. Moi's government was up and running until 1982 when a few gentlemen decided that enough was enough. It was time to end his rule. All this drama happened in Moi's absence as he had attended some functions outside the country. It all began when one gentleman, Senior Private Hezekiah Ochuka, was so obsessed with power. He had all along dreamt that one day he would be president, and his dream was embedded inside his mind like an epitaph on a tombstone. He had been planning this scenario that made him rule the country for less than 8 hours before things were brought back to order. Hypothetically, Kenya has had more than 4 presidents, and he was the shortest serving president in the history of Kenya. This is something your history teacher back in high school probably did not mention to you, but get it here. So, this is how he managed to clinch power for those hours. Forget even about Ochuka. There were other 2 masterminds behind the plot. Joseph Ogidi Obwon and Pancras Otayo convinced Ochuka to accept the proposal to overthrow the government. Ochuka would accept without hesitation in respect to his ambitions earlier on. Well, Ochuka was in the military, hence could convince a few of his colleagues to take part in the plot, hence the 2 approached him. And how did Jaramogi Oginga Odinga and his son Raila Amolo Odinga get involved in all this? Well, Mr. Ogidi had later on accused Jaramogi Oginga Odinga during trial of providing them with logistics and transport during the 1982 coup. His son was also accused to have been a co-conspirator later on before the Njonjo Commission that grilled the suspects. The coup was well planned, and it was meant to coincide with the war games in northeastern Kenya, a time whereby many of the Kenya Air Force soldiers had been deployed there to deal with the situation, as Ochuka was left with those whom he could convince easily to join the coup. There was a bit of scuffle as to who between Obwon and Ochuka was to head the coup. They argued on the basis of junior Air Force soldiers they had brought on their side to join them. Ochuka claimed that he had recruited most of the junior officers, which was actually true, and so Otayo advised Obwon to leave it to Ochuka so that they could kill him later on after the coup and take power. An old friend had given Ochuka some 2 million shillings and a private car in preparation for the coup. He even stole some military communication equipment as he did not want the operation to fail as the one that occurred before. Yes, you heard about it. My history teacher told me that a year before, in 1981, a man by the name James Wahora Ndiaga was planning a coup when the government stopped him during his early stages of preparation, as he had moles that gave him away. He was later to be locked up in community prison. Warnings had also been given about the looming August 1st, 1992 coup, but they fell on deaf ears. Towards the end of July in 1982, Ochuka held a secret meeting at Umoja football grounds, during which everything about the attack was being planned. During the meeting, Ochuka even talked about the support he had gained from Tanzania and Uganda, and that they had put their forces at their borders in case there was any resistance to suppress the coup. The coup began in earnest at around 3 a.m. on August 1st, 1982. By 4 a.m., a section of junior soldiers from the Kenya Air Force had just took over Isili and Embakasi Air Base. At 6 a.m., led by Hezekiah Ochuka, they captured the Voice of Kenya radio station.
Tukaingia studio kabisa. Sasa akachukua karatasi na kalamu akaandika notes zake pale, akaniambia soma hivi. Ndio nikasoma. Hamjambo wananchi, mimi ni Leonard Mambo Mbotela, hii ni sauti ya Kenya, ni raia. Polisi wote ni raia, wananchi msitangetange, tulieni tu nyumbani na mengi mtafahamishwa baadaye. Basi nikaendelea kutangaza tangazo hilo, baada ya dakika 10 akaniambia
Moreover, at Mangumi Air Base, 3 pilots were forced to fly the fighter jets and drop bombs around the Mount Kenya area just to disorient the other soldiers who were obedient and loyal to President Moi. Meanwhile, at the station, Ochuka wrote some information on a piece of paper and forced veteran radio reporter Leonard Mambo Mbotela to read them out to the entire country, both in English and in Kiswahili. Immediately, a meeting of members who belonged to the loyal forces of the government was held. The attendees were Lieutenant General John Sawe, Major General Mahamud Mohamed, Brigadier Bernard Kiilu, and Major Humphrey Njoroge. At the meeting, it was agreed that Mohamed would take charge of the operation to suppress the coup. He then assembled a team of about 30 officers from 1st Kenya Rifles Battalion and Kahawa Barracks. The team stormed the broadcasting station and killed or captured the rebel soldiers inside. Leonard Mbotela, who had earlier been captured by Ochuka, was told that Mohamed Mahmoud was to announce on air to the entire nation that everything was under control and that Moi was back in power. Everything was now under control and Hezekiah Ochuka fled to Tanzania to seek asylum. He was later on brought back to Kenya, charged and hanged at committee prisons. Moi had already come back from the Organization of African Union (OAU) meeting in Libya and was now ready to deal with the culprits. A total of 12 people were sentenced to death in line with the plot, while more than 500 people were arrested and charged. Meanwhile, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga was put on house arrest while his son Raila Amolo Odinga and other university lecturers were put in detention where they were tortured. What actually made the coup fail was the poor organization of the soldiers, and some of them were involved in looting. It's reported that the late Njenga Karume's wines and spirits in Westlands was rinsed dry by the thirsty looters. On the flip side, lives were also lost. More than 150 civilians lost their lives, while 100 soldiers perished during the plot.